Welcome to Hot Drama TV.
Before the red carpet was rolled out, before the hashtags were written, before opinions rushed in faster than the camera shutters, there was a quiet moment that belonged to no one, and to everyone watching. A woman walked forward. She smiled, not for effect, not for defense, but with a calm that suggested she had nothing to prove. That woman was Jin Jing. She is married. She is not framed as a goddess. She is better known for humor, warmth and approachability than for unattainable beauty. And yet, on that night, she stood at the very center of the spotlight without asking for it. When the lights hit, the story begins. As Jin Jing stepped onto the red carpet, the lighting shifted. From the darkness behind her, two tall silhouettes moved forward almost instinctively. One was Zhang Linghe, calm and composed. The other was Lu Yuning, broad-shouldered, steady, familiar. They didn't rush. They didn't exaggerate. They simply took position, one on her left, one on her right. In a single turn of her body, the formation was complete. To onlookers, it looked almost cinematic. Two nearly 190-centimeter tall men flanking one woman, as if shielding her path forward. Not a rehearsed pose, not a dramatic declaration, just presence. And in that moment, something invisible cracked open online. She doesn't avoid suspicion. But why should she? Almost immediately, commentary flooded in. She's married, yet she doesn't even try to keep her distance. Other women would never dare stand like that. Why is she allowed to be so relaxed? This question, why is she allowed, is the real heart of the story. In the unspoken rulebook of the entertainment industry, married women are often expected to fade quietly into safe zones. Fewer interactions, more distance, less physical proximity with male stars. Marriage is supposed to mean caution, but Jin Jing didn't shrink. Her smile remained natural. Her posture stayed open. She did not act as though she needed to defend herself against imagined accusations. And that, paradoxically, unsettled people even more. The comment that lit the fuse. Then came the sentence that turned curiosity into conflict. She's not even a beauty. Swap her with Dilraba and see. At first glance, it sounded like a shallow insult. But underneath, it revealed a much deeper expectation. That a woman's right to stand in the center of a powerful frame must be earned through beauty. Not professionalism. Not experience. Not personality. Beauty. The implication was clear. If a goddess had stood there, the image would have felt correct, worthy of fantasy. Jin Jing's presence disrupted that fantasy, and disruption demands explanation. The invisible immunity card. Here is the contradiction no one likes to say out loud. Jin Jing is permitted closeness precisely because she is seen as non-threatening. Her marriage becomes a protective label. Her comedic image softens interpretation. Her lack of competition in beauty hierarchies grants her freedom. This is not equality, it is conditional acceptance. She is allowed to stand close because the audience subconsciously believes nothing romantic could possibly happen here. That belief is comforting, and comfort is rewarded. Who gains and who gets judged? Notice how the narrative distributes praise. The men are described as gentlemanly. Their height is emphasized. Their gestures, especially Lu Yuning's quiet assistance on the steps, are framed as kindness, maturity, and care. They gain warmth. They gain masculine appeal. They gain narrative points. Jin Jing, meanwhile, is evaluated. Why Dilraba was the default replacement? The suggestion to replace Jin Jing with Dilraba wasn't personal. It was symbolic. Dilraba represents the industry-approved fantasy. Flawless visuals, goddess aura, perfect symmetry with male stars. When people imagine a red carpet tableau, she fits the script effortlessly. Jin Jing does not. And that is precisely why her presence feels radical. Because if someone who isn't packaged as untouchable beauty can occupy the center with confidence, then the hierarchy wobbles. The illusion cracks. The rules look negotiable. The power of not performing fear. What Jin Jing did that night was deceptively simple. She didn't apologize with her body language. She didn't create artificial distance. She didn't signal guilt for being present. She walked. In an industry obsessed with image control, that calm becomes a quiet form of resistance. It says, "I trust myself more than I fear your judgment," and that message travels far. This was never about scandal. Despite how it was framed, this story was never about avoiding suspicion. It was about permission. Who is allowed to be relaxed? Who must remain cautious? Who can stand in the middle without justification? And who must constantly prove they belong? Jin Jing didn't chase the spotlight. She didn't steal anyone's role. She simply occupied space, and the reaction revealed how fragile our expectations still are. The moment between steps. In the end, the most revealing part of this story isn't the photo, the comment, or the comparison. It's the silence Jin Jing left behind. No explanation. No rebuttal. No performance for the court of public opinion. Just a woman walking forward, smiling, while the world argued about whether she had the right to do so. And perhaps that is the real takeaway. Sometimes the loudest conversations are triggered not by scandal, but by comfort. Not by rebellion, but by ease. If this story resonated with you, follow, share, and keep watching. Because the most honest truths in entertainment often appear not in scripted drama, but in the quiet seconds between steps on a red carpet.